All right, so in this video, we are going to do an interest rate swap with no intermediary, meaning that there's no intermediary party that's going to create it. It's just going to be between the two financial institutions. So for this, we have an insurance company that owns $50 million of floating rate bonds yielding LIBOR plus 1%. These are financed with $50 million of fixed rate guaranteed investment contracts costing 10%. A finance company has $50 million worth of auto loans with a fixed rate of 14%. These are financed with $50 million of CDs at LIBOR plus 4%. So in this, both of these two companies, they're both exposed to interest rate risk. If LIBOR were to move up or down, they could be exposed to risk. So they want to eliminate their interest rate risk. So in order to do that, they can enter a swap. So let's before we do anything with the swap, first let's break it up into parts. Let's say for part A, we want to know what is the risk exposure to the insurance company. So what is the insurance company's risk? Let's say IC for insurance company. What is their risk exposure? So let's break it down for what they have. So they are receiving LIBOR plus 1%. They are receiving LIBOR and they are paying 10%. They're paying 10% on their guaranteed investment contracts. This means that they receive, if net they receive LIBOR minus 9%. So in order for them to, at least in order for this to be profitable, in order for it to be profitable, this has to be greater than 0. So this means if LIBOR falls below 9%, then the insurance company would be losing money. So their risk exposure, the insurance company's risk exposure, say risk exposure, would be if LIBOR falls below 9%. If that were to happen, then they lose money on the transaction. So now let's do it again, but this time for the finance company. So the finance company has $50 million of auto loans at 14%, and they're financed with $50 million of CDs at LIBOR plus 4%. So remember, for a bank, they have to pay interest on those deposits. The deposits for a bank is going to be a liability. So for the finance company, they have let's say FC for finance company. FC, we want to know the finance company's risk. So they are receiving 14% on the auto loans, but they're paying LIBOR. They're paying LIBOR plus 4%. So they're paying LIBOR and they're paying 4%. So this means their net is going to be 10% minus the floating rate. And if this falls below 0, then the finance company loses money. So the finance company's risk exposure is going to be if LIBOR is above 10%. If LIBOR gets over 10%, then the finance company loses money. So how can they hedge this? How can they eliminate their interest rate risk? So now let's find out their cash flow goals. The cash flow goal is going to be what would be left over, and they're going to split it in the middle. So a finance company will get half of it, and the insurance company will get half of it. So let's say cash flow goal is going to be half, and you just add everything up. So for the insurance company, we know that their net is receiving LIBOR, paying 9%, and then for the finance company, they get 10% minus LIBOR. LIBOR cancels out. 10 minus 9 is 1%. Half of 1% is half of a percent. So this is the cash flow goal. So now we know what the risk exposures are. We know where the insurance company's risk is and the finance companies. We know their cash flow goal. So now how would you actually organize the swap? So let's put, let's do the diagram. Say this is the insurance company, IC, and we know that they are receiving LIBOR plus 1%, and they are paying 10%. Let's say over here we have the finance company, FC for finance company. And the finance company is receiving, they're receiving 14%. They're receiving 14%, and they're paying LIBOR plus 4% on their CDs. So that's flowing out of the company. In order for the swap to work, the insurance company is going to have to give the finance company LIBOR. Remember, there's no intermediary party. And then the finance company is going to have to give the insurance company something in order for this transaction to work. So let's make some room over here. And then this is for a there is no intermediary party in this transaction. If you were to take maybe derivatives, then you'll deal with a party in the middle. On the CFA, you may deal with a party in the middle, an intermediary party like an investment bank. But for this, there is none. So let's find out what this number would be. This one right here. So we know for the insurance company, they are receiving LIBOR, floating rate. They're receiving 1%. They're paying 10%. They are paying LIBOR. They're going to receive some number that's going to help them get their cash flow goal. So what number would make this work out? So LIBOR cancels out, and you're left with 1 minus 10, which is negative 9%. Negative 9% plus what number is 0.5? This would be 9.5%. So that means this number here is going to be 9.5%. Now let's compare it to the finance company to make sure it checks out. So we know the finance company is receiving 14%. They're paying LIBOR. They're paying 4%. In this case, they would be receiving LIBOR from the insurance company. They're going to be paying 9.5% back to the insurance company. LIBOR cancels out, and this should equal 0.5%. So 14 minus 4 is 10. 10 minus 9.5 is 0.5. So they are receiving 0.5%. So that works out. So both of these companies have a guaranteed 0.5%. They've guaranteed 0.5%, they've guaranteed 0.5% profit from this in terms of their cash flow goal, and they've completely eliminated the interest rate risk related to these transactions. So this is it for our first swap example. In the next video, we're going to do another example of a swap.